This is at the ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
Right after the crash.
It's pretty funny. I took the oath of enlistment 2 days before September 11th. I woke up and, typical day, I turned on the TV to see the weather. Yeah, I see it all over the news. A plane just hit the World Trade Center. It's like, okay. Maybe it might be an accident. And then a second one hits a few minutes later. I was like, whoa, I think we're under attack.
I mean, it was like my backyard was like literally attacked. Like I was so personally violated. It was instantaneous almost. I'm joining the Marines.
Met John Dugan then, I believe he was a Lance Corporal at that time. Senior Lance Corporal. I know it's not a thing, but it was back then. Him and then George.
The Marine Corps has this funny way of treating his Marines. If they know that you don't like somebody in the platoon, guess what? That person's gonna be your roommate. We had our little arguments here and there, but after that, we became like best friends.
We were in at a good time. We had a good group.
So we were actually on the 31st MU. We were in Oki.
I don't know what we were doing. I can't remember. I just remember my staff sergeant saying, like, what do you know about Fallujah? Fallujah, I didn't even heard of it, Like, what is Fallujah? I don't know anything about it.
They actually didn't let us know. They told us, we're going to Kuwait for 2 weeks to do a little training mission. Just bring what you would bring to the range. But we're gonna be there for 2 weeks.
And that's when we got the word, hey, going, pushing Fallujah, so we're not going back to the boat.
Then they start to fill us in on like what happened in the first attempt, how it was a total mess, and how we're going in and we're gonna be the lead element. And I was just like, wow. They're really talking this up. Like I already thought I was like Rambo from like the security mission. They're like, dude, no, you don't understand. Like, you're going to invade an entire city.
It was almost surreal. Just, getting off the bird, kind of seeing the area, seeing what Camp Fallujah was like.
We're chilling in the tent. All of a sudden, boom! Head next to me explodes.
An incoming mortar, hit a Humvee right in the turret. Took the whole Humvee out. Marines are already dying, and I just got here.
It didn't hit me until I actually saw one of my friends injured.
They're like, all right, November 8th is the day, D-Day.
We're staged, getting ready to push into the city to finally begin the assault. And we're in a track. We're only supposed to fit so many Marines in a track, and we were way overloaded.
Guys were sitting on each other's heads. Like you were losing your mind. We were there for like hours.
So some of us decided to, pop the tops and sit on top of the track, feel more comfortable.
One of my friends was on top of the amphibious assault vehicle because he wanted to see the Miklik.
This explosion goes off. Our track gets direct hit.
They talk about time slowing down. At that moment, it's like time slowed down. Like I had all this time, it seemed like, to just think about what I needed to do.
all I could feel was the blood on the ground and the amphibious tracks. That's all I could feel, and I heard people screaming.
So I'm laying there, just on top, where there's just a pile of bodies, and Johnston ends up like falling on top of me, and I just remember him saying, "Hey, is this Sloniker?" I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" He's like, "I can't feel my arm."
I quickly was able to like snap to it and try and talk to him. I wasn't doing anything medically. You think he'd be screaming? He was like barely moaning. I think he said something like, you know, "Is my arm gonna be okay?" Technically, I could barely see out of my eye. My lieutenant, who I loved, he's like, "Dugan, what's wrong?" I think I caught some pepper shrapnel. He's like, "All right, get on the track and get out of here." And, you know, and for a split second, I was like, thank God, you know. But then I literally looked around and I saw like all my guys, and like this total mind shift where I was like, there is no way I'm leaving.
We got out of those tracks and we just got on line at the edge of the city. If there's any insurgency at the edge of the city, push them back. That's when I woke up. I was like, oh, this is real. This is real life.
Building just east of them. So 2 fire teams, including myself, and an assault detachment went to the building, fired a small rocket in, and they said, all right, go in and come out with them dead. The scariest thing ever is to know, like, you can go into a building thinking, oh, there might be somebody in here, or maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but to know that there is definitely people in that building, it's the scariest feeling you ever have in your life.
You know, because initially we took key objectives, and then after those objectives were taken, we switched to, you know, the clearing part of, you know, the Fallujah, where we had different blocks. We would go and clear this block this day or whatever else.
Yeah, in that kind of environment, you kind of develop that attitude real quick. That if it's life or death, you're either gonna make it or you're gonna be that guy curled up in a ball about to get killed. You know, you don't want to be that guy. You gotta take action.
Just insanity, like literally running for our lives. Like honestly, I don't even remember like who was leading and who was following. Then we get into like more buildings, like urban setting, terrified that every door is booby trapped.
Clear so many homes, you know, you just get to the point where you're exhausted and you almost don't even care at that point. So we get out there, clear the house, the bottom was secure, and then the top, two of our guys take contact. It was Kurtz and Hopper. Hopper's this tiny little guy, and then Kurtz is ginormous. I mean, he towered over me, and I'm 6 foot. Kurtz was the first one through the door, and then Hopper came in right behind him. The enemy was up there. One of them tried to pin a grenade between himself and Kurtz.
That's it, I'm staring 2 feet from him, and he just like shoved him and shot him, and the guy tripped and fell the second it was going off.
Somehow, I think Kurtz got away unscathed with that. Hopper got some shrapnel. When we finally pulled out of Fallujah, we were gonna go up north by the Korean village to help with some elections up there.
We have to go do 2 security missions. So we're going into like 2 53s, CH-53s.
2 birds always fly together, so we had our 2 sticks. And then stick 1, the bird on the left, and then stick 2, I had some friends on that one, so you know, fly with these guys. So I decide I'm gonna walk over here, try to get on their stick, and Lieutenant Fuller's like, what are you doing?
We load up, I see my lieutenant staring at me, and he's like, Dugan, there's no room, go in the other one. So I go in the other one.
He's like, no, you need to get back over to your bird. And then I remember Jerez and Dugan coming back to the other one with me, and 2 birds lift off.
Travis was the baby of the family. He was a really, really smart kid. He played guitar. He, had a real interest in music. When he would come home from Mass Maritime, I can kind of picture him sitting, strumming his guitar.
We just had so many adventures on our property and being in the woods and making forts and having those type of, activities. Because there was really nothing else to do other than entertain yourself.
He was the love of my life. He was, I had two girls who I adore more than anything, but every guy wants a son, I guess. He was born premature. He had a tough time in the first couple months of his life. He was in and out of the hospital. When he was old enough to talk to his friends and stuff, he told his friends he was born immature.
I woke up every morning to the sound of Legos being spilled out of a box, and he'd be in front of them all day long. That was one of his favorite activities.
One of my favorite memories of him growing up as a child is in the morning I have to get up to go to work, and he would be upstairs and he would come down and he'd come and sit in my lap every morning, put his arm around me and give me a hug every single morning.
So senior year, I spent a lot of time with him on cruise. So at night, I just sit on the bow of the ship. He came up one day, and we're maybe 7 days from the end of sea term. He came up with 2 binders worth of work, opens the binders. He's like, to hell with this. And he throws it all overboard. He threw 2 months worth of work overboard into the ocean. But in the end, I think he ended up getting an A on his project, but I was just blown away by him. But that's kind of how he was.
I don't feel like he competed with anyone else, but wanted to push to see how good he could be. And I think that's kind of what Mass Maritime and then later the Marines represented to him.
So when he told us that he was joining the Marine Corps, I was actually just not ready for that at all. I had a lot of maybe anger about it. One of the last times that he was home, I had a bit of a fight with him about it because I just didn't understand why he wanted to do it. I have regretted that moment for so many years now, 18 years. Because I was so incredibly proud of him. And I just always hoped that he knew that I was.
We were just bouncing all over. I remember looking out the back and I thought I saw rocks. I mean, it was dark, it was hard to see. Finally, we started stabilizing and I remember seeing a flash.
We see this explosion. I'm thinking it's heat-seeking.
I thought we just got shot, and I remember feeling the helicopter bounce all over the place.
Anyways, we land, and then I see this doc who was with us, but I guess he might have been on the advance party or whatever. And he's like, they're all dead, man.
Company and the rest of this BLT lost friends and brothers in Fallujah.
When we landed and didn't see the other bird, we kind of put 2 and 2 together, and they told us, yeah, hey, the helicopter crashed.
I wasn't expecting that.
Everyone was hysterical, crying. Half my platoon was killed. These guys would have been at my wedding party.
It was tough. We had just been through, one of the largest battles since Vietnam. Most of the company had survived at that point. For them to just go down on a helicopter crash.
When his helicopter went down before that, I asked him, He only had a little while left to go in the service, not real long. And I said, are you going to recommission? Are you going to stay in or whatever? He says, if my men are still here, he says, I won't leave.
I think a lot of us felt guilt because I was happy I was alive, but I felt guilty because they weren't alive, you know, and I felt bad about feeling good. War and combat or not, it's not fun.
Talk about an out-of-body experience. You know, I can't explain it.
We might have lost more people, and things would not get done if that lieutenant wasn't there.
You know, I would give anything to have them back. I love all of them, and we'll never forget.
One thing to take away from it is be kind to people, do the right thing. That was basically what he was about.
Yeah. And pick the right heroes to admire and model yourself and learn from them.